Hey, everybody, welcome to Dropping the Gloves. I always thought I was the rags to riches story, the guy who just, came out of nowhere and made something of myself. And then this guy comes along and just blows my story out of the water. The strangest, I don't know if he's the strangest superstar in the NHL right now, but one of the most unconventional paths to superstardom. Coming out of Norway, 21-year-old kid, a relative nobody. He was terrible. I read the scouting report for Modo for years. Everybody was talking about Modo. Everybody was saying, there's this guy out of Norway. He's very exciting. Christian Forsberg. You want to get him on your team. And then all of a sudden, there's this other guy from Oslo, Norway, Matt Zuccarello, took the world by storm, and now he's on our show. Matt Zuccarello, thanks for joining us, my friend. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Have you ever had anybody do an interview and bring up Christian Forsberg?
No, I was impressed.
Was he your buddy on the team in Modo? Because you're both from Oslo.
Yeah. We grew up together.
All right. Well, Matt's is a little upset. Before we started taping, he brought up how I chirped him in a tweet or an Instagram post. I'm not sure what it was. But Matt's caught wind of it, and he called me out. I said, what'd I say? I said, imagine if Kirill played with somebody, he would have got 60 goals. He has to drag Zuccarello up and down the ice. So I wasn't.
And then I brought Kirill in to confirm that wasn't true.
I know, but does that ever piss you off? Because people say things like that. It's like, oh, Kirill Kaprizov, he's so good. And you are just chopped liver. Do you ever get pissed off? It's like, come on, man. I'm Matt Zuccarello. I led the Rangers in scoring 4 times. I come to Minnesota and we start winning. Does it ever get under your skin?
No, I agree.
So if Kirill's playing with Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews, how many goals does he get?
Well, he doesn't get the pucks that much.
It's a good answer.
Zero. All right, well, moving on. You're undrafted.
Kirill can play with anyone and gets 50 goals. So,
do you think so?
Yeah, I think he's unique. He's such a hard worker, and doesn't matter who he plays with. He can make stuff. He makes me better and people he plays with better. So, obviously, we had some good chemistry, but I think he's probably the most unique player I've ever seen.
And you've played with some unique players. You've played with Rich. Is he standing there staring at you, telling you
what
to
say?
He
left, so now I can be honest.
But in all honesty, though, you've played with some good players. You come right into the New York Rangers. You got Richards. You got Callahan. You got Gabrick. You got all these high-end guys. Derek Stepan. You go to Dallas. They have those guys. What makes him different? Why is he so much better than these? Not so much better, but different.
No. I mean, I played with so many good players, obviously, in New York. Richie, like you said. Zibanejad, Kreitz, Steps. In Dallas as well. Sagin and Ben and Radulov and those guys, Klingberg. So there's so many good players that I've been lucky enough to play with. But for me, it's just the chemistry that we have that makes him maybe my number one right now,
Is he a similar type player than you are? Because you're more of a creative type guy. You don't really draw plays up.
Yeah, he's got it all in his head. He's so smart. To be honest, I don't really do anything. If they tell us on the power play, I ask him where you want to be, and I'll be wherever he doesn't want to be. So obviously, I know that he's the best player. I want him to be in the scoring, and even Harsey too. And when we play together, both of them have better shots than me. So it's more important that they get good opportunities to score.
So we met way back. I think it was 2010, 2011, or was it later than that? Around that time.
Yeah.
We were with the New York Rangers. We were Black Aces.
Yeah.
Now, let's go back to that time. The Rangers had a good team. What did you think when you're getting Black Ace and you played most of the season, going back and forth between Connecticut with the Rangers, and you were Black Ace? What was that like, a player of your skill, watching a Stu Bickle being rolled out to play. Guys like that who were just a bum, like just a waste of space. And you're sitting there skating with me, getting bag skated with Steve Eminger and John Scott. What was that?
We had fun. We had more fun, I think.
We might have had a little more fun. We're not going to go into those in-depth stories. We're talking about just being a black ace guy coming from Norway, jumping into the AHL. Now you're in the NHL, watching this team play in the playoffs. When you know, and you and I know, the guys would come off the ice after the games after a loss, whether it was versus the Devils or I think the Capitals or the Senators. Like, why is Zucky not playing? Was that tough knowing that you should have been on the ice?
I mean, I think every player wants to play.
I didn't want to play. I'll be frank with you. I knew I didn't belong. I was like, I'm good.
Well, most of the player wants to play. But I mean, you're young. You respect the coaches and the decision they make, and I mean, obviously, on a selfish part, you want to play and try to help the team. But I think growing up in Norway, when you're young, you come to like a senior team. You learn how to work your way up to the top. You don't speak the first couple of years. You got to earn your way, and I think I looked at it that way. That it's a learning process. I've had it pretty easy up to that, coming from Norway to Sweden. I took that it went pretty well. So I didn't really have a tough stretch. So I just took it as no one goes a whole career without having some tough stretches. So I just figured this is my time to feel that I should have played, but just deal with it. I went to Russia after that year. So that's how well I dealt with it. So
where did you go to Russia?
I went to Magnitogorsk. It was the lockout year, but I played the whole year, and then I came back. So,
what was more enjoyable, Russia or Norway, playing international, or Sweden? Because you played with Modo.
I played with Modo. That was fun. I was young, came in, had a really good team. Got to play with Peter Forsberg and Marcus Naslund was on the team. So that was a big couple of years for me, experience-wise, coming from small Norway and get to play with your idols growing up. So I had a lot of fun, and obviously it went good for me from day one. So it's easier to have fun when it goes well.
Well, I do want to ask about coming up in Norway. Before we switch gears, just going back to the Rangers thing for a minute. So John has talked many times on the show about being traded, where his first introduction with Torch didn't know he was going to be there, didn't know they had even traded for him, didn't really want him there, so he's skating with the Black Aces. And John has said multiple times, it was like me, a couple other guys, and then Zuccarello stuck out. He did not belong. He belonged up with the team skating with those guys. And so, you mentioned that everyone wants to play. What was your relationship like with Torch? Because he's a polarizing guy. Everyone's kind of up and down with him. What was your relationship?
I mean, obviously, I really like him as a person and a coach. I still talk to him now and then, and some messages back and forth. How are you doing? So, even though maybe I didn't play as much as I wanted to, I really respected how he was honest about it. Mm-hmm. He was right into your face, no bullshit, and I respect that, you get some good stories out of it too, now that when you get older, you learn how to fight for your spot, you learn that it's not going to come easy. I think sometimes right now in NHL or in many leagues, a lot of guys get handed it too easily. You get too comfortable. You're coming in, you don't really have to prove yourself. But I take that as, I like it that way. You should prove your way. You should earn your spot, and I liked how he's old school in that. So I really like him. But I had some good stories. I remember one time, I think it was my first year. I was up. We played a game, or maybe my second year, and we won the game. Everyone's buzzing in the locker room. We go into the Knicks locker room, and the Knicks gear was there. So I put on, I think it was Carmelo Anthony's jersey, shorts, his shoes were there, and I was dribbling a basketball. A couple of the guys were there. And the door opens, and I'm like mid-dribble, look to the door, and it's Torch. And I don't know if he's going to send me down before, probably, but he's just like, looking at him and like, take that shit with you down to Hartford. got sent down mid-dribble with Carmelo Anthony jersey and shoes on, and I'm like just taking the gear, taking the jersey, everything off, and hey, see you guys, and took my bag. And so, I mean, you get good stories out of it, but I really respected how he's straight up with you.
I couldn't, second that enough. Like, the guy did not mix words. He's exactly what you want a head coach to be in a lot of ways, because I've been lied to straight to my face by coaches, GMs, guys like that. They're like, oh, we're gonna re-sign you. It's great. You're in our plans, and then it's just like you're gone the next day. I remember I don't know if you were skating with us, Zooks. It was during the Black Aces, and it was a long Black Ace run. It must have been like 2 months, because it was a long playoff run.
Yeah, we lost 7th game in the conference final, right?
The Devils, yeah. Zajac in overtime or something. But I know we went 7 games with Ottawa, 7 games with Washington, and it was a lot. And we got our room moved because the zoo was in town, and we were like underneath the Madison Square Garden in some random room where you had to walk a mile to get to the rink. We were nowhere near the main team.
Yeah.
And the new guys from Hartford came in because I think they lost in the playoffs, and they were walking into the dressing room. And I'm going, welcome to hell, boys. This place sucks so bad. And Torts is so small. He walks in right behind, I think it was like Dylan McElrath or something. I'm like, welcome to hell, boys. You're going to hate it. And Torts is like, oh, yeah? Like, are you serious? I'm like, dang it, Torts. Like, he was right there. And there's so many stories like that where.
Well, didn't you play that song in Washington one time? Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play.
I just blared it. We had a good time. The thing with being a scratch is you have to have fun, right?
Yeah.
You talk about, earning your stripes and, knowing your place. What do you say to the young kids now? Because you're the old guy on the team. Like, I'm looking at the roster now. It's you and Golly. Yeah. And I don't think Golly talks too much. Are you vocal to the young guys? Like, even a guy like Kirill who comes in, do you take him under your arm a little bit and try to teach him the way?
Yeah, I mean, I think you trying to do the best you can. I say I get a lot of players in Norway and stuff like telling me how to become good players. So I think you just have to find your own way. For me, the biggest thing is to respect the elders and respect the system. Don't expect stuff to get given to you. You got to earn it. And I like that way, So I think that's the most important thing. And on the ice, do your thing. You're there for a reason. So just learn how to cope with the mental part of it.
What do you think about all these? And I know maybe you can't give an honest answer, but about all these kids coming off their ELCs, just getting insane amounts of money. Like when you see a guy getting an 8-year contract for $90 million and he's 23 years old, does that just blow your mind?
Yeah, I mean, obviously some players have earned it, but I'm for guys getting paid. We're playing a lot of games, a lot of mental stress on you. It's a full year long. You got to be ready all the time, work out, and so I'm 100% for that. But if I was a GM, I don't know if I would give a 23-year-old that amount. I feel like you gotta. In New York, we had a good system. Like, you have a good year, so you get that bridge deal, and then you can earn your big pay ticket. But it's a new NHL. The NHL is changing, getting younger, so you just have to deal with it and accept it.
You're just like, where was my deal when I was 25? When I was leading the Rangers in scoring.
Well, I got 1 year that year, so 1 year deal.
Just the 1 year. Yeah. Well, let's talk about this year and last year. Then we'll bounce around a little bit. I know you're busy. Well, the guys are on the road. You got lots of time. We can be here all day. Zooks.
Yeah.
Like, we got lots of time. You're like, no, get me out of here. So I don't want to touch on the playoffs too much, but one of the things that stood out to me was you bring in Fleury.
Yeah.
Controversy. What's going on? Talbot, he wants to play. Obviously, he's your starter. You bring in Fleury. What was it like in the room? What was it an issue at all, or was it just a non-issue that the media was blowing up?
There was no issue. I think we were lucky. We had 2 really good goalies. We just played a better team, to be honest. St. Louis was a better team over 7 games than we were. So no controversy, and we had a really good room. So the media, whatever you read there, doesn't that's false, at least. So we had a really good room, and boys were fired up and excited. But sometimes you gotta be honest and say we lost to a better team that year. So
I love that. Gives you a little motivation for this coming year. So what do you do this summer then? What do you do in your summers to get ready for the season? You're 35 now. Do you stay in the States? Do you go back to Norway? What's your training regimen like?
Back to Norway. Had a surgery and then recover and then get ready for the season. You get older, you kind of figure out what you need and know a little bit more what to do and what not to do. But it's the same as when you're 20. You're anxious coming in, feeling like you hadn't done enough, and then he's skating with these young kids here in before camp starts, and everyone's flying everywhere, and you're just like, holy shit, I can't even. This is going to be a tough year. So it's the same feeling every year, and which I like, is then you keeps you on the edge a little bit, I go back, spend my summers in Oslo. Just to have a trainer there that I had for many years, and practice with my kids team where I grew up, the senior team there. So same thing.
You talk to Billy at all and say, Billy, listen, I'm good for one preseason game and that's it. Give me one or two. That's all you need. Does he give you that kind of leverage, you and Golly or Spurgeon, the older veteran guys?
No, I don't think so. I'm scared to talk to Billy like that.
He's going to trade you. He doesn't care about telling people they're going to get traded. He's the best GM I've ever seen. He just doesn't give two craps about what he says. So how many games then you're going to play this preseason? I'm sure the Wild have 6 or 7 lined up.
I think this is the first time I've ever been part of a team has 7, at least in my eyes. So I honestly don't know. I had surgery this summer, so I'm still working on coming back 100%. But if it's 3, if it's 4, last year I played 4, so we'll see.
Or 0.
Or that would. I like to get a couple in just to get the timing in.
When you're a guy who's going to be a healthy scratch most of the year, you play 7, and your hamstrings are just dying, and you're just waiting for camp to end so you can be a healthy scratch again. Finally, it's so funny.
Well, I'm old enough now. I'm old enough now that if that happens, I'll put him up. I'll hang him up.
If you get healthy scratch, you're going to retire?
No, but if it goes the whole season like that, I think I'm rethinking.
I just to put this in perspective, I played 9.5 years in the NHL. I only played 296 games.
Yeah.
So if you times 9 by 82, I should have played in 700 some games. So I healthy scratched way more than I played.
That means that you're strong mentally,
No, physically, I worked out like an animal. I was in such good shape.
I've seen it in the shower. Nothing's big on you in the shower.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Oh, that's funny. All right, Tim, ask a question here.
I do want to ask about growing up. For the fans in North America that don't know Norway at all, and what is hockey like there? Is it growing? Have you been part of it becoming more popular in recent years? Do you see more guys making the jump to the NHL? Because there's not really any, or not very many. So what's that like?
We have maybe 20, 30 rinks in the whole country. Maybe 1, maybe 2 with ice all summer. So it's not like it's a big sport. It's growing a little bit, I hope, but it's still not enough ice time, not enough rinks to actually take the next step, I believe. So there's a lot of work to do for us to be able to take the next step. They care more about cross-country skiing and soccer and all that stuff back home. So hockey's hanging a little after those, but no, I think as a national team, we've been in the A group for 15 years plus, maybe, which I think is an accomplishment for the guys who's been playing there with little resources and no ice, no rinks. So I think with the equipment we have, I think we're have done a really good job creating a lot of players that have either been in the NHL for a little bit or in Sweden, in Russia. So I think the players, my generation and a little bit older, was really good. So still, I'm not really sure how the new generation is going to be, but hopefully it's going to be better than us.
It'd be nice if they had like a guy who was an NHL vet to invest some money into the program, or to like just give it a boost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like someone who played in the league for a long time, who has that face value. Can you think of somebody like that?
I have my own charity. I hate helping kids get into all sports. So
no, just one sport.
I just told you, if I didn't have that bridge deal, I could have done it. I had like 4 or 5 bridge deals, so that kind of fucked me up a little bit.
You were the one who invented the bridge deal. The GM was like, "We'll get you on the next one, Mats, for sure, but not this one."
4 or 5 bridge deals in a row, and I fell for it every time.
But your team was so good. You guys won so many Stanley Cups. All right. What else, Tim? What do you want to talk about?
Well, you mentioned that you're 35, but you feel young, and you just had your best season ever at 34 years old. Like, how much of that do you attribute to, like, your workout regimen? Is it opportunity? Is it chemistry with guys like Kaprizov? Like, what made that work so well last year?
I think I feel like I'm in good shape. I feel young in the head. I think that's the most important thing. And obviously, the team played really good, and you're only as good as a team play. And when the team goes well, you're playing better. Obviously, clicking last year with Hartsey and Carell helped a lot, all of us, you know. So yeah, no, I feel good. I think the most important thing is I still think it's fun to come to the rink, play games, and playing all those games. And I think the day I don't feel that's fun anymore, I think it's time to stop playing. So as long as it's fun, I'm enjoying coming to the rink every day, having fun with the guys, practicing and all that. So just enjoying it.
Is that what makes you a fan favorite? Because literally every team you go to, you step on the ice, the bazooks, zook, it's just like deafening. Every city you go to, every team you go to. Or is it just because you're small?
I was just to say that I think it helps that I think it helps that I'm 5 feet, and they probably feel sorry for me. It's more of that.
I do. You're 5'7", maybe. That's what your playing card says. You're probably 5'5".
On a good day, I'm 5'7.5".
And you're about 190 pounds, so you are thicker. Like you're a fairly stocky guy. But what is that? Is that just your personality? If fans love you just because you're just Mats Zuccarello?
I don't know. I have no idea. You got to ask them.
In New York, you used to wear these dumb yellow jackets with the short shorts and the white socks pulled up. I thought it looked ugly, but everybody thought you looked handsome. Why could you do that and I couldn't? Tell me.
I don't know. It's the European style, you know. People are not used to it over here, so they find it interesting, you know.
What's the biggest difference? I played in Minneapolis, St. Paul. I played in, Manhattan. What's the difference? The biggest difference? You spent a lot of time in Minnesota. You spent a lot of time in New York.
Yeah.
What's better about being in Minnesota?
I think New York, I was in my 20s. Obviously, I don't think you can get a better city to live your 20s in. And living there downtown, and searching opportunities on a Tuesday night or Monday night or Sunday night. It was fun, in the 20s.
For dinner, right? For dinner.
For dinner, yeah. Dinner spots. So I think I got the best of both worlds. I got a little older, came here to Minnesota, which, before you get here, I played away games here. And you go to St. Paul, you live in that old hotel, so you really don't really know Minnesota well. So I knew the hockey was good, it was big here. That's my big priority when I want to sign here. That state of hockey. I like when the town and everyone around cares about the team, and then you get that excitement. But it's beautiful here too, outside of the city, around in the city, everywhere. So I'm really enjoying my life here. I had great 10 years in New York. Really appreciate everyone there, the fans and people you got to know there. And the same here. I'm starting to get to know a lot of people outside and really enjoying my life here in Minnesota. So it's I like to think that I got the best of both worlds.
I think you did too, Mats. You really did. You really are just really
Lucky.
Blessed.
Yes.
I'm still thinking about that shower comment. I'm like, you son of a bitch. All right. So you mentioned leaving New York. You were there for 10 years. A little bit of a rocky departure when they traded you. Could have maybe gone better. I was doing a little research for this interview. I saw Henrik Lundqvist talking about you being traded. He was just crying. Couldn't even answer the question. Two-part question. Is it hard to see someone crying because you're leaving? Like, well, good friend, obviously. Was that difficult knowing that you affected him that much, like in a good way? And then the second part of the question, did you not know you were going to get traded? Because they were just ditching everybody. Like, they traded everybody in New York that year.
Yeah, no, I mean, I saw that with Hank, and obviously I felt the same way. He had been there as a friend of mine since day one, speaking Swedish and get to know his family really well, his kids and wife, and just almost felt a part of the family there. And so that was really emotional for sure. I think it really didn't really hit me until I kind of knew I was getting traded. But you never know for sure. But they were playing an away game, and they told me to stay back and said it likely going to happen tonight. And you get the call and say you got to be in Chicago tomorrow morning. You're playing against the Blackhawks for Dallas, and then you right away just pack your bag and then you're gone from a place that you've been almost 10 years. But I got a great start in Dallas. Obviously, I broke my arm, but I really enjoyed Dallas. The team there, we had a really good team, great teammates and everything. So I don't think it really hit me until the summer that, whoa, I'm not going back there, You didn't really have time to be emotional right away. You get right into it, and new team, new family, and really enjoyed my time there. And then the summer comes, and that's when it was a little tough for me that summer, but it's a part of the business, obviously, but it's a part that no one really likes unless you want to get traded. But I think you go and you're kind of feeling when you're there that I'm going to spend the rest of my career here. I really enjoy it here. I have a great time. It kind of felt like you're home, and then boom, a couple of minutes, you're gone. So it was tough that summer to really accept and like, well, I'm not going back. Where am I going? And I got a great opportunity to come here in Minnesota, and it took me a little while to get into. You had your place in New York, almost the older guys there because they shipped everyone away, and then coming here with an older team. Take some time to find your spot. Great guys here, but I got to have to know them. They have to get to know me, and so it took some time, but I don't regret it. I really enjoy Minnesota and had 3 great years here, and hopefully many more.
Now, I was a little honored I'm not going to lie. It kind of took me by surprise. When you signed in Minnesota, do you know the last player who wore number 36?
Yeah, that's why I took it.
I was honestly, I was honored. I was a little put off that I didn't get a call if you could ask me to wear number 36.
Well,
But
why do you think I'm on the show?
are you going to formally ask me if you can wear that number and I can give you an
No,
answer?
I just did it. You know, I don't think I've been on any show or media thing, but I said, this guy, I took his number. He's been a big part of my career. I learned a lot from him, so I'm going to give, if he asks it for me, I'm all yours, you know.
Is there, Tim, take it away. That's a great.
That's a good one. We don't get that many guys, at least not recently, that have played on a team with John. So I always like asking this question. If someone asked, like, what's it like to be a teammate with John, or what's a good John Scott story, what would you say?
Ooh, no, I think the one when Torch came in the room, I remember, and the one we're racing into early in Washington when we were healthy scratch and we had a morning practice. And I think it was an optional, and obviously we went on. We're coming back into the locker room. That there was a meeting right after, and John put on full volume, put me in coach. I'm ready to play, and everyone's just dying. Torch coming in, says, turn up, you know. And all the nice dinners, you know, we had some really fun time. We had a good group there that didn't play a lot, so we became good friends those 2-3 months there and had a really good time.
That's what I'll remember. We'd go for a team dinner, the team would leave, and then the guys who wouldn't play, we would stick around and we'd have a couple bottles of wine.
Yeah.
And we would just kind of hang out. That was a blast. I remember one time, I think it was in New York where we did that, and Doobie was hurt.
Yeah.
And he stuck around, and then we put all the bottles on his tab. And he got so pissed. He came to me the next day. He's like, "You owe me a couple $100. Who put the?" I was like, "I don't know, Doobie. I don't know what you're talking about." He was so mad that I think we had like 4 or 5 bottles of wine. But was he upset?
He would get mad too.
He did. Then I think he tried to get Kaser, who was the team PR guy, to pay for it. It was really funny.
Yeah.
That's too good. But anyways, I don't want to take up any more of your time. Camp's good. Minnesota Wild, Stanley Cup this year. Is that the trajectory?
Well, that's a goal.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, Matt Zuccarello. Go tell Kirill he can come in the room again. You guys can go back and jump in the hot tub or the sauna. I don't know. But anyways, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Matt Zuccarello, everybody.